We are live and recording. My name is Keyvan Davani. I'm the host of the Davani Connection Show. Well, buying and selling Bitcoin. Primarily, I mean, let's just focus on buying Bitcoin. It's easy, of course. It's convenient to buy on an exchange, right? But I guess most of you who are listening or watching right now might be thinking, yeah, of course, it's easy to use. But everybody who has gone on an exchange, just a regular Bitcoin exchange, would it be? And I don't want to name names or not I don't want to promote or put down any kind of exchange, but there are one or two exchanges who might even say where I would say they take things seriously, at least from a security perspective, or they are more credible, they are more reliable, maybe less fallout, whatever. But that's not the issue. Let me just, as I'm live streaming here, just put the live stream of my YouTube channel on X or Twitter, so that some of the folks might be, watching this, might want to watch this via YouTube. All right, there you go. Okay, so again, buying an exchange seems to be a pretty easy thing, right? I mean, the thing is, and as all of you know who have registered and signed up or whatever, registered and an account on would it be Kraken or Relay or Swan or whatever. I mean, all of these exchanges, I mean, either maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less, they do KYC procedure, right? Know your customer, right? So you have to strip naked and give all your, I mean, pretty much everything about your life, right? I mean, your identity, right? I mean, so you upload and you submit all kinds of documents, Jesus Christ, from identity card or passport or what else? A utility bill, and then you have you take about and then of course utility bill, your address, right? Your home address, Jesus Christ, right? And then you need on top of that, some of the exchange, they want you to, whether it's in Austria or whatever, they need to put up a sign, and then with the date and your name, and then with your passport. It's like, I mean, just from a user or a customer perspective, it's a nightmare. But anyway, what you have to do is to strip naked and give all the details, right? So they've got your name, they've got your address, home address, they've got your picture, they've got your the copies of your whatever personal identity card, or whatever you call identification card, passport, and what have you, utility bill, everything. So now, right? So now you go on an exchange, and I would say, yeah, it's relatively easy. I mean, you take an offer, whatever the spot price or current price, market price, and you go through the deal, and click, and you sell it or whatever. You buy some Bitcoin. You transfer from your if you're in European Union, you make a SEPA transfer to let's say usually like Kraken, they have a what do you call it, like a bank subsidiary, right, in Germany, in European Union. So you transfer your money over there, right? It's pretty easy. It's within 1, 2, 3 days maximum. It arrives over there, and then you just do your deal, right? You just do your transaction. You do your trade. You take an offer. Right. But what's the title of the show? KYC or non-KYC Bitcoin? I mean, and now most people, they go on exchange, right? And that's, they get all kinds of perks and discounts and this and that and promotion, and people are easily influenced on whatever social media advertising, and so they go and sign up. But what most people, especially noobs or Bitcoin beginners, starters, whatever we call them, don't know or cannot know because they don't have the time, to do some research or do some, ask around or whatever, are there other alternatives? Are there other options to buy Bitcoin, right? Now, the thing is, now before I go into all the detail, all the, optionalities and alternative methods, how you could, uh, mm, how you could buy Bitcoin without KYC, without, being strip naked and submitting and uploading all kinds of information, which then it's eventually with a high probability or not, if these data are, if your data, of all the data, as you've probably heard of, not necessarily exchanges but other institutions or I'm sorry, organizational companies like Ledger or other, I think even Binance or other exchanges. So data have been leaked, right? Or hacked, stolen, right? So now you've got like two fronts that you have to worry about, right? You've got more or less, but both of them, if you think about it, are criminals, right? One of them does it legally, with laws and regulation, blah, 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 right? And they justify it with court, with judiciary and laws and regulation and constitution, blah, 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 right? That's the state, right? The government, the country you live in, right? The state, the government, right? They steal from you systematically. Would it be directly, indirectly? Would it be taxation or inflation, systemic inflation, right? Or systemic or progressive, whatever, taxation, whatever you do, right? But essentially, they steal from you. Inflation, hyperinflation, that's why it's called a hidden tax or, yeah. So, and the other criminal is, the criminal by nature, who just wants to, steal, right? Or rob. Now, whether by deceit or fraud or scam or, armed robbery, or, they rob, they come in, one person, two person, I don't know, two or three criminal, they come in to your home, or, they got your address, right? And they got everything. They pretty much, they can research you, especially if they've got your name, your address, your passport, your everything, and if you are, pretty much public or whatever, or do all kinds of stuff, they can find out a lot of information, right? Background information, whether you're on vacation or not, whether you have children or not, are you married or not, how much money you could have, how much assets you could have, right? And that's why, you might have heard about the $5 wrench attack. I mean, it's not to be joking. And I've heard directly from people who said that either directly or people who I know who know other people who said, that they know people that had to move, because their whole life was exposed, their data was exposed, hacked, stolen, leaked, whatever you want to call it. But it's essentially the it was their whole their identities, their privacy, everything was exposed. So there are some people that actually had to move, were forced to move from one place to another, by trying even not to leave any traces or whatever. But this is what happens, right? Especially when you have a company who doesn't take security seriously. Now, I gotta say, I mean, until now, I haven't heard like anything, for example, because I know from firsthand, like Kraken, right? I mean, I've never heard about Kraken, who's, they have got their, I think their main domicile, whatever, residency or jurisdiction in United States, but they've got, but you can do it internationally, right? But you got to upload all your, again, strip naked and submit and upload all kinds of information, passport, utility bill, address, anything, everything. But and I've heard from other security experts, cybersecurity experts, that Kraken takes things pretty seriously. I mean, security, everything around security. So I've never heard anything negative about Kraken. Now, I don't know anything about other Bitcoin exchanges, right? let's just, stick to the Bitcoin, ethos, Bitcoin ethical exchanges who only, whatever, sell or buy, sell Bitcoin or trade Bitcoin, or you can, set up an account and do all kinds of, what do you call it? Like all at once or small amounts, right? DCA, the dollar cost averaging, whatever, right? So with its, some kind of exchange in Europe, European Union, or America, or I don't know, or Canada. But the problem always stays the same. You have to submit all kinds of information. Now, the thing is, as you observe, as you understand, as you gain more knowledge and understanding what's going on, around you, around all of us, politically, geopolitically, economically, criminally, structurally within nations, supranational organizations, would it be European Union or I don't know, or all these kinds of puppets, the leaders, or all these unelected, wannabe dictators such as von der Leyen or whatever, or the ECB president. I mean, all their wet dream is to, like, introduce a CBDC, central bank digital currency, couple it and connect it with a super centralized digital identity, and there you go. So, did you, eat too much steak, or did you say anything negative on social media? Whoops, and your account is blocked, whatever, or they just confiscate your money, or they just, no, they just do it electronically, centrally, of course, digitally, but that's the point, that's the whole essence between Bitcoin and everything else, right? Would it be fiat money, or and fiat money is primarily digitally, of course, but it's centralized, right? And Bitcoin is the one and only decentralized information, money, protocol, or whatever, right? It has all the properties that humanity could have ever dreamt about. It's decentralized, censorship resistant, unconfiscatable, absolutely limited, with absolute scarcity of 21 million Bitcoin. Each Bitcoin, again, equals 100 million Satoshis. You don't need a whole Bitcoin again. So all you need to do is to buy a little bit, but which I'm going to talk about soon. But all you need to do is, in regular intervals or on a regular basis, buy a small fraction of a 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 Bitcoin. Would it be 10 euros or dollars, or a lump sum of whatever? I don't know, 500, 100 euros, whatever, 1,000 euros, 1,000 euros. I don't, especially when the price dumps. This is what people, like panicking, when there's volatility and the price, dumps. Like, I mean, people haven't gone through, most people haven't gone through all those cycles. And I haven't even. I mean, I've got a Bitcoin only podcast since 2007. It took me, I think I started, like doing all these shitcoins, like all these, lots of other people, even OGs, who have been in space, have even gone into shitcoinery and, did all the experience. And then you find yourself, you find your soul, you find your heart, you find your, you understand, you begin to understand and comprehend the essence, the structure of Bitcoin, the architecture of Bitcoin, and what's the difference, and the ethos, especially the ethos, and the super potential of Bitcoin. What, not only as an individual, but as human species, human civilization, as a planetary civilization, we are able to achieve within shortest time period. I mean, we could have that, we could offer all these kind of technologies, but I'm digressing. Okay, I'm digressing from one rabbit hole to another. The question here is, what's the disadvantage? What are the dangers? What are the risks when you're buying KYC Bitcoin, right? So you go on exchanges and they've got all kinds, of course, yeah, they're forced to do, abide by the laws, regulations. And then you've got all these kind of other, AML, anti-money laundering, whatever directives, whatever you call regulations, usually and mostly, put upon them, sort of forced upon them by some kind of weird, cryptic, abstract, unelected entities, who to be honest with you and transparent, for the sake of transparency, they do all their money laundering in the amount of trillions, if you believe it or not. You don't have to believe me, just research it for yourself. How much money laundering has been going on and is going on per anno, per year? We're talking about trillions, right? If you take the central banks, I mean, I don't want to even go to the rabbit hole who controls, who really controls the fiat monetary, central banking, financial, military, industrial, blah, blah, blah complex, right? But I mean, how many trillions of US dollars or whatever, or euro dollars, which have been like created since the 50s or 60s, something like that. It's sort of a proxy for US dollars. But anyway, or whatever, fiat currencies. I mean, they have been money laundering and with all kinds of insane criminal activities systematically in the trillions through, central banks, commercial banks, all the, and then you've got the whole financial offshore, of course, corporate, whole, very weird structural complexities of, you can do a lot of things, especially if you've got, lawyers and experts who do these kind of things for living, right? So they know how to hide, how to, obfuscate, how to, launder money. And we're talking about like all kinds of criminal activities, from systemic, child trafficking, or, pedophile global network of, they call themselves elite, but, I'm calling them parasites. Would it be the royals, the corporate CEOs, politicians? That's why, most people within the political structures are not only puppets, but they're blackmailed or blackmailable, right? Extorted and blackmailed, because a lot of them, not all of them, but they all got all kinds of shit, going on in this in the basement, right? And they've done all kinds of evil, satanic shit, and that's why they're blackmailed. But the other question, philosophical question, do they know when they get into these kind of positions, or do they get, are they being groomed? Some of them are, like Obama. I mean, these kind of people have been and were groomed like decades and decades ago, right? But a lot of those, prostitutes, politicians, whatever, man, woman, or whatever, they go inside this thing and they know exactly what, either they know exactly what they're up to, or they're essentially they get to make a choice, right? So, and as you can see or assume or deduct from these from your very individual observations, I mean, you just know that they are blackmailed or at least corrupted. First of all, of course, corrupt. It's corruption is the essence of every politician. That's why you can trust maybe 0.1%, right? If you've got like whatever, I don't know, whoever, I'm gonna say like Ron Paul or whatever, but essentially like 99% or 95%, they're all fucking corrupt, criminal, blackmailed, extorted, whatever, right? Pressure, intimidated, threatened, whatsoever, right? So let's go back to KYC, non-KYC. So the thing is, I think it would be much the process of or let's say the hyper-Bitcoinization process, if we really want to achieve this within shortest time period, and we want to accelerate this, then I think the only way to do this, and this is why I focus on the circular economies, educating not only the literally like the masses, but going like to specific groups like merchants, small business owners, entrepreneurs, right? And tell them, what, because now we can talk to them, because inflation or the loss of purchasing power, I mean, it's become and the and the exponential rise in prices for lots of products and services, or specific product services, have gone through the roof. So people, you can already talk to them. You can notice that. I noticed that, right? Whether it's a hair cutter or someone who just changes a tire or has a small business, a small shop, what have you. So if we can get these people, like give them a choice, like an option, like, hey, you know what do you have to lose? Like, give your customers, your clients just another option. Just give them the option, give them the choice. Do they want to, pay in Bitcoin or pay in fiat? Now the whole, accounting and how you can convert it, and so you can, do this everything, right on a regulated basis and legally and everything, and for your tax advisors, and that's a totally different issue. But it's all, this is piece of cake, right? So all you need to do is like, give them an option. It's like, you know what? Give your clients, customers an option to pay in Bitcoin, right? And all you need in the beginning, at least, is just a mobile, people, they can just download a mobile wallet. Now, what the merchant has to do is, for the long term, maybe, implement, integrate a BTC Pay server, and then you can just install it. And someone, like me and other people who am I cooperating with on Bitcoin21.at, especially for German speaking merchants, we want to offer this service and this, education and this tutoring and this mentoring. Yeah, it's called Bitcoin mentoring. So this is what we want to do, right? And this is how we can achieve hyper-Bitcoinization by non-KYC Bitcoin. I mean, when people want to come into the shop and buy an ice cream for the kids, so they can pay in sats, right? The subunits of Bitcoin, right? Each Bitcoin, again, is 100 million Satoshis. You don't need a whole Bitcoin again, right? So people have, and now I'm not going to even discuss custodial versus self-custodial wallets. But of course, I'm always, of the opinion, just, give them straight their recommendation, download a self-custodial Bitcoin wallet, right? Bitcoin only wallet, not a shitcoin wallet, right? But a Bitcoin wallet which has preferably not only you can do automatically everything, on chain and Lightning, and might even do whatever, like Aqua, has everything under one roof. They've got Lightning, LBDC, USDT, and they do all the swaps. Everything's automatic, everything under the roof, and it's all obfuscated. The whole process, technicalities, all the Phoenix wallet. You can, for example, Phoenix wallet, you can connect it to your own node, or I don't know, if you want to do only like on-chain transaction, okay, sure, but it's the transaction fees and the mining fees, of course, can be high, right? Or are usually recently pretty high. Yeah, so that's why you do Lightning. So you give your clients, customers the option, the beautiful option. Hey, you know what? If you want, you can pay me in Bitcoin, right? And all you need, right, is a QR code. You just scan it, and that's it. And voila. And the payment has been processed. The transaction is finalized, and that's it. And now it's up to the merchant, how much of that transaction, as it accumulates, of course, all these transactions, all these, accumulated Bitcoin, how much do I want to keep this as a reserve asset, or, as a treasury, whatever we call it, as a saving, right? And let's say 30%, like, and 70% is just all operational, right? For operational, whatever expenses, or it gets automatically converted to fiat. So this is all possible, right? So then ordinary people who have never even might have heard about Bitcoin, have never got in touch in Bitcoin, for the first time, they might get back some sats, as a change or something, or they can, start selling some of their shit, or some kind of, I don't know, secondhand things, or they can do it for their own shop, for their own business, start offering. And this is how we can, accelerate the process of hyper-Bitcoinization through circular economies, through regional, local, circular economies rooted in Bitcoin. And this is how we can, just tell the exchanges, you know what, just fuck off. Just fuck off, right? We don't need you anymore. I don't want to be stripped naked, give all you my information, and then go into the, total risk of exposing myself, my family, my assets, my wealth, to not only the state and the government, the criminal, parasitic, exploitative, satanic, whatever entities of, I mean, let's stick to the facts. I mean, taxation, right? I mean, what is it? Where does it come from? Right? I mean, how is it being justified? And then on top of it, you've got inflation. like exponential inflation, and the consumer price index is a fraud, is a fucking scam. We're being defrauded, lied to, cheated on. So there's a lot of, wonderful authors who have written about this and articles. You can, check it out on social media, articles, Bitcoiners, economists. It's a fucking fraud. The CPI index is a fucking fraud. So the monetary debasement, the loss of purchasing power, whatever you call it, is much, much higher, especially for specific or many products and services, right? You can feel it. You can see it. That's why you can start talking now to people. And then, on the other hand, you've got the criminals, whatever we call them, violent or non-violent. They're going to try to, right? They're going to try to, once their data is leaked, stolen, hacked, right? It happened to a lot of entities, organizations, companies. And we're not talking about like a couple of addresses or whatever, or names, no, identities. We're talking about like hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, right? Just exposed, right? So they got your address, they got your photo, they got your background, they can research you, they know they got everything. They got everything about you. And now you can just, sit here and pray. The thing I'm not saying is that, I'm not saying that these exchanges, especially all these, I mean, whether it's in Austria or Switzerland or United States or Canada, I'm not saying, these people are like, idiots, incompetent, whatever, but shit happens. You just need, even whether it's one person, one employee, who is not trustworthy, who is incompetent, who is a scammer, who is a fraud, who is a criminal, who exposes all these things, or maybe just, a technical glitch, whatever it is. And then you're fucking lost. You're fucking exposed to these criminals and to the state, to the criminal state, the government, and everything else. And then what are you going to do? You're just going to sit here and pray, right? No, that's why a lot of people had to move. They had to move from one location, and they had to move everything. They had to try, to obfuscate and get rid of all the traces, right? And the thing is, once you buy on an exchange, that's it. It's like, set in stone, right? They've got you, it's going to haunt you. And then on top of that, with all the, the push for more centralization, more mass surveillance, more monitoring, more, whatever. I mean, censorship and everything else, right? And CBDC, the push for global, on every level, CBDC, central bank digital currencies. And I know, I mean, there are movements, of course, against, and I'm hoping, that this whole, I mean, I don't know what to think about this whole election and voting. I mean, I've really literally stopped voting because it's, I mean, it's not like you really have a choice, right? I mean, you've got like, on the platter, on a plate, you've got all these parties, or whether it be right, conservative, left, or centered, or whatever. I'm hoping that something's going to change. Something, is going to transform, going to change. But essentially, what I'm talking about is the laws and the regulations and the supranational shit is going on, and the criminality and the dictatorship, the communism, Soviet style. I mean, this is what they're pushing for: central bank digital currencies, and then tied to your digital, super centralized identity. And then you can't say shit. And then whatever, you buy too much steak, you eat too much steak, they're gonna block you, or they're gonna tell you, what, you have about 1 or 2 weeks deadline, and then until that time you can only buy at these stores, these kind of products and services. You can't buy any more steak. That's it. You've created too much CO2. For Christ's sake, CO2 is life. I mean, this is one of the, if not the biggest fucking, biggest scientific fraud perpetrated on humanity. CO2, for Christ's sake, 0.04% of the atmosphere. And what? Humanity is causing how much of that 0.04%? It's like, I don't know, something like, it's like 1% or something like that, or even less. Or I don't know. It's so fucking, it's CO2, for Christ's sake. It's life. It's not human made. It's weather. It's climate. It's the sun. It's the geomagnetic excursion. It's the solar activities. I mean, we got serious problems in the decades and years to come. Solar flares, the exponential reduction of the magnetic field of the planet Earth. We got, micronova in the next decades to come. Pole shift, especially the magnetic shift, the magnetic, field of the Earth exponentially decreasing. At least 5% per year, maybe even more. Anyway, back to KYC versus non-KYC Bitcoin. So what kind of options do you have to buy non-KYC Bitcoin? You can go to Bitcoin ATM. I mean, I know until recently, at least, I'm not sure the super current status right now, but you were able definitely in Austrian Bitcoin ATMs to buy up to 250 euros, subsequently, one after another, but up to 250 euros of Bitcoin to exchange, whatever, buy, sell, exchange Bitcoin without any kind of, not even a mobile, whatever, SMS or giving you mobile number or any kind of identity or nothing, up to 250. I mean, that's like, 250 euros, right? But what you had to, sort of accept as a trade-off is a little bit of higher transaction fees or whatever. It was sort of a little bit more expensive than if you would have bought it, let's just say classically on a Bitcoin exchange, right? Where you again have to, strip naked and submit all your information, right? Identity, name, photo, address, everything else, right? But hey, I mean, that's a pretty good trade-off, I think. Or you could do it via BISC network, a super, a hodl. I mean, I don't have much experience with hodl, but I would prefer BISC, BISQ, and it's peer-to-peer. It's a peer-to-peer transaction, right? So you take an offer on BISC, or you make an offer whether you want to buy or sell, and then if you're in European Union, you just make a without any kind of additional information, you just transfer that money, and then automatically on BISC there's a sort of automatic, like a sort of an escrow account, where it's sort of a deposit, right? It's locked up for both trading partners, right? Buyer, seller. And once the trade is finalized, and let's say the seller of Bitcoin gets his whatever euro or money on his account, and I confirm that, and then the escrow is released, and each one of them, a buyer and seller, both trading partners get their whatever, the deposit back, right? Whatever percentage that is either individually set or it's a standard or whatever. But it works perfect. It works smoothly, and it's peer-to-peer, for Christ's sake, right? It's private. It's a private transaction. That's it. Or you can do it, from person to person. I mean, there are a lot of other possibilities, avenues, options that you can just research. But I think the key is peer-to-peer, and without going on any kind of centralized, custodial, whatever we call it, KYC, AML regulated entities, organizations, or exchanges, whatever that is, whether it's Binance or Croc and Swan, Relay, Confinity, or what have you. Just stay away from these fucking, entities, organizations. I'm not talking about the people. The people are wonderful. They're, nice people, sympathetic people. You can talk to them. You can all kinds of things. But I don't know whether they really comprehend what the consequences are or could be, right? What the effects are or could be, right? They got your data, man. They got your data, and they are obligated. They are obligated to comply, and it's called compliance. That's why it's called compliance. They have to comply with the existing and laws and regulations or whatever of that specific country, nation, government, or supranationally within the European Union, right? Which is then, of course, adapted to national law or regulations. And then you've got on top of that the anti-money laundering, especially when there's, amounts involved that are, goes above a certain threshold, right? So they have to comply. So it's not really their, I mean, you could say, yeah, it's not their fault, but they have to comply, right? But I'm saying you have a choice. What I'm saying is that you have a choice. You can make your own decision. You can make your own judgment. You can make your own, weighing off of trade-offs and thinking it through. Like, do you really want to be exposed? So this is why, even if you have done it now until so far, but I would, I'm urging you, I'm really suggesting to you urgently, get rid of all these exchanges, get rid of an account. And yeah, I mean, there are some people who say, you could somehow reverse that transaction, put it sort of reverse, engineer this whole thing. But I don't know, maybe it's too complicated. Maybe maybe it doesn't really, essentially the exchange is, at the end of the day, has all your information, right? And what happens to that information? What happens to that data? Is it going to be leaked, hacked, stolen, transferred somewhere, or maybe, some kind of security breach? You don't know. You just don't know, right? This is what I'm saying, right? The key, I think we need a structural approach, a structural solution to this problem. And I think this lies in the wonderful, possibility of boosting and promoting and supporting circular economies of scale, right? I mean, you start locally, right? You start in your little village, town, city, whatever, in your state, and then you expand it. You expand and expand, expand. But circular, the key is circular regional economies. It can be a farmer's market, right? Every weekend you go there, he has got whatever, his mobile wallet, whatever, some kind of system. It doesn't matter. It can be a mobile wallet, right? You just, scan the QR code, you pay him in sats, and the deal is done, like instantaneously, especially when you have to do it with Lightning. Otherwise, you're going to, wait for confirmation, right? And you could wait up to, I don't know, could take a few minutes, could take up to average, right? 10 minutes. But you're paying sats, right? With Lightning, with the most, with the best hardware wallet. And I'm not going to recommend Wall of Satoshi, but if that is like the first steps baby steps you want to take, go ahead. But it's a custodial wallet, right? Nothing's going to happen. I mean, we're talking about like small amounts. You want to buy your raw milk, your ice cream, your whatever, right? Your chocolate. So you just, I would recommend, would it be any kind of self-custodial Bitcoin wallet, which has integrated everything under one roof? That would be the best thing, right? Phoenix wallet, PHOENX, or Aqua Wallet, whatever I want to think about their team or organization or whatever, or the attitude or behavior or ethos, it doesn't matter, right? But it works, right? And it's self-custodial. It's self-custodial. And it works. And it got, on-chain, Lightning, Liquid, Bitcoin, right? It's sort of a side chain of Bitcoin, but it's all like all the technicalities, everything is like obfuscated in the background. So you don't need to do anything. You just do a transaction, whether it be on-chain or Lightning. What else? Which other? I mean, there's Mutiny Wallet. There is any kind of Blocks and Green Wallet is an only on-chain wallet, right? But it works perfectly. I mean, if you've got time, the merchant and you as a customer, if you've got time and you're, chit-chatting and you want to wait for confirmation and pay, of course, on top of that, higher transaction minor fees, then go ahead, right? And so these are, any kind of self-custodial wallet would do it. But this is how we, accelerate not only the circular economy, boost the circular economies, but we accelerate by orders of magnitude the hyper-Bitcoinization, and we get rid of all these fucking exchanges. The KYC, AML regulated, and exchanges and companies. And then you're not exposed, to the state, to the government, to the tax authorities who just want to, skim you and rob you and exploit you and steal from you on a legal basis. Or you got your criminals. Who are going to come, whatever, with weapons, with knives, with wrench, with a $5 wrench. That's why it's called $5 wrench attack, right? And endanger you, right? Put you and your family in danger, or even, assault you, hurt you, and rob you. And this is what you're up against. I mean, what do you want? When you arm yourself, I mean, yeah, in some states, countries, it's legal to, defend yourself with whatever, guns or whatever, right? I mean, you've got to protect, right? How else are you going to protect yourself and your family, your children, right? So this is why you want to prevent all this shit, right? Just don't go to KYC exchanges. Don't trade. Don't do any kind of exchanges on KYC exchanges. Don't buy any KYC Bitcoin because they got all the information. Do it peer-to-peer. Do it on BISC. Do it if you can, if it's still allowed, especially to a specific threshold amount of Bitcoin. Go to a Bitcoin ATM. Whatever country, I know it was definitely possible in Austria, and at least until recently. I'm not sure about the current status, but I think it's not possible anymore. Now you have to, I don't know, at least give up some kind of I don't know, identity or mobile phone number. I don't know, whatever. But it can be a KYC light sort of procedure. But it doesn't matter. But you have to, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're exposed, right? Or do it peer-to-peer. I'm sure, if people get together and they can form without, putting yourself at risk, some kind of witness protection program, or I don't know, some kind of, where usually there's a notary and there's some, I mean, sort of a regulated with an oversight. Maybe there's some kind of, groups that can come together and do at least small amounts of transaction. You know what? I'm doing it in live, I'm giving this money, you're transferring me this money in Bitcoin, I'm giving the euro. Maybe that would be the best approach if you're doing like on a face-to-face level, right? So essentially, the goddess of Bitcoin says non-KYC Bitcoin is the winner, is the definite winner. And the only, rational, logical, ethical, and safe solution to how you can get your hands on Bitcoin. Whether you want to do it with small amounts, so-called auto DCA, dollar cost, I don't even know why it's called DCA, dollar cost averaging or euro cost averaging, whatever, but like, accumulating small amounts or buying lump sum. But, there's other avenues, other options, HODL, BISC, decentralized exchanges, peer-to-peer, Bitcoin ATMs, and what have you. So please follow me. By the way, I've started synchronizing more or less relatively one-to-one or pretty much exactly the video tutorials of BTC sessions into German, because I think there's a lack of knowledge of resources for German speaking, so they can focus, on the technicalities on the tutorial, and they can listen to my voice. Now I'm trying to find a open source, for free, because it's super expensive to do an AI synchronization, which would actually work really good. I tested already with even the system, even the tool would even simulate the voice of BTC sessions himself, or it's sort of a similar voice, but it would do it sort of really with hardly any mistakes. So for now, even with my chronic, coughing, I'm sorry about that, but sometimes I do have this chronic coughing. I'm trying to do my best. I'm doing this for free. So if you want to support my work, please, follow me, subscribe my channel, follow me on Twitter, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Telegram, Instagram, Nostr, wherever you are, Primal or whatever, Iris. Support my work, share my videos, share my tutorials, share my interviews. It's not only like it's like super focused on Bitcoin, but it's very holistic. So would it be geopolitics, technologies, suppressed technologies, investigative journalism, experts, insider, whistleblowers. So if you can, please support me, share my videos, subscribe, follow me. In any shape or form. I really appreciate your support, your promoting my work, what have you. But anyway, I've done starting, synchronizing these some of the Bitcoin BTC sessions tutorials into German. And yeah, I'm gonna talk more about maybe even have some guest experts on Bitcoiners, prominent Bitcoiners on KYC Bitcoin versus non-KYC Bitcoin. What are the dangers, the risks, the benefits, the disadvantages, the advantages, the trade-offs? What are the properties of each one of them? I mean, what kind of madness would you go into if you continue buying or if you start buying on a centralized exchange, KYC, AML regulated. And yeah, so I think we have to push this. We need solutions. Again, circular economies, local, regional circular economies rooted in Bitcoin, starting with your, haircutter, coiffeur, your tire changer or your mechanic, shop, especially like small shops, let's boost them. They understand now. They understand the root cause, the root problems, the root solution can be only Bitcoin. It's like, what do you have to lose, right? Give your clients, give your customers the option to pay in Bitcoin, and all you need is a QR code and a mobile wallet. Again, Phoenix, whatever, Aqua, Mutiny, any kind of self-custodial Bitcoin wallet where you can, write your 12, 24 words, laminate it, keep it safe. Don't say it loud. Be careful, not any cameras around. So this is the expertise, the advice we want to give on Bitcoin21.at, especially and primarily for focused on German-speaking, individuals, clients, businesses, shops, merchants. But starting now in Austria, would it be in Styria or any other county or state of Austria, and then expand to Germany and Switzerland. But this is what we want to do. What I want to do with other German-speaking Bitcoiners, Bitcoin maximalists, Bitcoin educators, Bitcoin OGs or technical people. Would it be multi-signature, increasing your privacy, inheritance? How do you do that? How do you create redundancy? How do you increase your safety? How, and it's about like a fundamental shift, right? From delegating responsibility to taking responsibility. And this is what Bitcoin is about. It's about self-responsibility, self-custody. And you need to take care of your own assets, of your own wealth, of your own Bitcoin, right? Not your keys, not your Bitcoin. So thank you again for watching, for listening. Please share this video, follow me on Twitter, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Telegram, Nostr. You can write me via email address, info at bitcoin21.at. You can check out this. It's still in construction sort of, but the essential information is already there, bitcoin21.at. For Austria. And yeah, my name is Keyvan Devani. I'm the host of the Devani Connection Show, and I'll see you soon.